And welcome to the Utah Hockey Podcast. My name is Kelly Queel. I'm here with Mike Wolf and Cole Bagley. Today is a huge day because we have on the man, the myth, the legend, the fresh lettuce fighter from the Utah Mammoth. His name is Liam O'Brien, but you better know him as Spicy Tuna. Welcome, Spicy Tuna. We have some fish heads for you.
Oh, look at those.
We could not.
Where did you guys get those?
Oh, Amazon can deliver anything in 2 days. Did you know that? I actually wanted the full. Awesome. I wanted the full tuna getup, and it wasn't going to be here till July 8th. So I'll do it at some point.
Where was it shipping from?
Yeah, good question. There's all sorts of things. So someday.
It was shipping from Halifax, Nova Scotia, guys.
Yeah, maybe so. All right, so break down a little bit about where you are. We just spotted some pictures of you hanging out in Paris with Lawson Krause. So give us an update on the summer.
Yeah, so I was just, I was fortunate to be able to, we're in the Czech Republic. My wife she's from the Czech Republic. So that's where we're at right now. We're at our family home. I'm training here and preparing for the season, but it's been great to have my daughter around family and, around her cousins and interacting with grandpa and grandma. And so it was the first weekend we actually left her alone. We hadn't been away from her. Well, I had, obviously, because of the season, but my wife hadn't. So
you traveled all season.
It was the first weekend that we got away for 2 days to Paris, and we flew in there. We knew the Krauses were going to be there, so we got to go to dinner with them a couple times, and they ended up going to Roland Garros, and they had the full experience. But it was great. It was great to see Lawson and Claire, and they're always fun to hang out with.
Okay, were you in Paris, just because I need to know, were you in Paris to hang this photo in the Louvre? Because that's what all of us want to happen.
I didn't get a chance to go in the Louvre and hang that up. I walked by the Louvre.
Okay.
But
one day it'll get there.
I speak a little bit of French, so I was able to freshen up on my French. And I hadn't been to Paris before.
Oh, okay.
I spent a lot of time in Europe because of my wife, and Paris was just a spot that she went to when she was younger. She had already seen it, and it was my first time there. So no, I really enjoyed it, and we did some walking around, and trust me, I got my steps in. So
yeah,
it was great.
So do you know more? Do you know more than just like how to chirp in French? Like, do you know like actual, or were you just chirping everybody in Paris?
No, I speak fluent French.
Wow.
I can have a full conversation. I can understand everything. I understand it probably better than I speak it right now, just because I haven't spoken it since I played junior, really, or because I haven't had, we had Maverick Lamoureux, who he was around for a lot of the season, so I was able to speak with him. But for the most part, everything's in English, right? And everything's in English, actually. But when I played junior, a lot of my coaches were French. A lot of my teammates were French. I had teammates that actually didn't even speak English. So I played in like small French towns, and so that's kind of how I became fluent in the language. I had a little bit of school before that where I had learned French, but junior definitely is where I picked it up the most.
Yeah, we talked about this before we pressed record, but thinking that you were still in France, my first question was actually going to be, how long did it take you to find the only mammoth colored wall in France? But you said that you're actually recording from the Czech Republic, correct?
It was crazy. Like, this is where I do a lot of like meetings and anything on Zoom that I've been doing in the last month and a bit. And I go to like set this up, and I look at the wall, and I'm like, those are pretty much our colors.
I was assuming you're in a studio.
My brother-in-law's room, I'm in his childhood room right now, and
he knew.
That's where I've been doing all my meetings. So it worked out pretty good. they knew what they were doing when they put this wallpaper in.
That and everybody that's been on a Zoom call with you has been like, man, this guy's like way in on his team, his professional team. He painted his room the colors of the team. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, this guy's bleeding the black, blue, and white. Right?
Yeah,
It
that's
shows a
great.
certain level of dedication that you
Excuse
just
me,
don't see anymore.
Mountain blue.
You should ask Ryan.
Salt white.
You should ask
Mountain
Ryan
blue.
Smith if
Mountain blue.
his room has even colored those colors.
Yeah.
And if not, you
It's a
should
good
challenge
one-up.
him.
Well, the wall, you can't see it, but the wall even across from me, it's all blue too. So they knew that I'd end up in Utah
Yeah,
at
there
some
you
point.
go.
Yeah, I know.
They knew that their daughter would marry a player who would play for the Utah Mammoth
A
from Halifax,
Canadian
Nova Scotia.
that didn't exist yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
tell
amazing.
us a little bit about what it's like to have a trilingual little baby. She just turned a year, and now is she speaking some French with you too?
So we're not in French yet. I think
Okay.
we're gonna keep it at, Czech's a really difficult language to learn. I think that's probably gonna be the first language she learns. English will probably actually be the second. It's funny. It's really interesting because right now we're on animals and the noises that they make, and in Czech the noises are just very different than the noises in English.
You got to
Like,
give us a sample.
A
Yeah.
dog, for
We need to
example.
know.
A dog, for example, in English is roof, roof, right? And in Czech, it's woof, woof, or no, huff, huff. Sorry, it's huff, huff. So it's different, And
Yeah.
so whenever I'm taking her for a walk, and there's a dog, she looks at me and she goes huff, huff. And
That's
it's the
so
cutest
funny.
thing, but
That's
I'm
so
just like
cute.
in my head, I'm just like, when she goes to school, she'll probably end up going to school in North America at some point.
Yep.
Kids are gonna be like, no, like it's
You're
roof,
wrong.
roof, like it's rough, rough, or roof, roof.
Do you speak?
Maybe we even say it differently in Canada. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
It's woof, eh? Woof,
but
eh?
yeah,
In
it's
French.
interesting.
Do you speak Czech, Liam?
What's that?
Do you speak Czech?
I'm working on it. I mean, it's a very difficult language. I'm kind of picking. Actually, it's been great because I'm picking things up with her, and then I find I'm learning more and more now. So I think the more that she learns, probably the more that I'm going to learn. And I don't think I'll ever probably be at her level, just because she's going to be communicating with my wife.
Yeah, they're little
and-
sponges, those
and they'll be
babies.
doing their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids pick it up so
And
much quicker.
She soaks everything up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
All three of us are parents, so we relate. We know
Yeah.
how quick those babies can learn.
Yeah, Liam, I'm curious. Do you
Yeah.
ever have your wife teach you things that you can then throw at Veggie at practice? You ever like, man, I need a good chirp for this goalie. When I score on him in practice, I need to say something.
You never chirp your goalie.
That's
You never chirp
good.
your
That's
goalie.
good.
That's like the one guy you don't mess with the goalie. You gotta let
Yeah.
the goalie just do his thing. Like
Yeah.
he's got the toughest job, in my
He
opinion.
does.
So
Yeah.
Totally.
you leave the goalie alone. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, there's the odd time where I throw a little check at Veg. If I learn something new, or like if his family's in town, I go up to them and I like say like, hey, how are you? Things like that, right?
so
Just,
cool.
That's
just
awesome.
to,
Yeah, just to like build those
yeah,
connections.
just simple stuff. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Bring me
So-
back to the beginning, because I've had this question since before really our team even existed, because we had you, Lawson, Bugstad, Kerfoot, all with expecting wives. There's more. All with expectant wives when this team was announced, and you were kind of announced moving to Utah. Bring us back to what it was like to experience that, especially looking at it through the lens of having your family grow.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough because, you got to move and you got to think about all these other things because it's, have this, precious little new life in your life. And Yeah, it was definitely but the transition was so smooth. I think ownership did such a great job supporting us as players, and we really had everything we needed for the move. And whether it was like real estate agents to moving companies to everything was just there. It was all call, text away, and taken care of. And yeah, it was all just an easy transition in that sense. But yeah, obviously, you guys are parents, so it's like
Yeah.
it's
That
it's
was what
tough
I was
when you
like
have
rocking
a
myself.
young boy. She was young. She was young,
Yeah.
really young.
Yeah.
So you're still going through that transition too, as a first-time father, first-time mother, and it was a lot of fun. And I would say the first couple of months were tough. There's adjustments, but if I look back, I think I've changed in some ways, in some positive ways,
Yeah.
becoming a father, and it's been uh it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
How has it been to, obviously, she's young, but how has it been to raise your family in Utah in the the short amount of time that you've been in the state?
Utah is like the best place you could have your family,
I keep saying this.
in my opinion.
It's great.
And it's like it's the perfect place to have your family. Like if you have kids, um it's wonderful. There's so First of all, there's so many kids.
So many kids.
Yeah.
Second of all, there's parks everywhere. There's so many things to do with your kids, and obviously, like so many things to do outdoors as well with your kids. So it's been really, really good for us as a family, and I think it's been really good for the families as well, and the guys that have kids. And yeah, overall, it's just been such a great experience. And the organization again has taken really good care of our families. Everything has been top notch at the rink, whether it's events, on game days, the support and everything has been there from day one. And yeah, we're just really grateful for that.
I'm so relieved to hear that as a mom.
Did your daughter make it out to any games, and did you kind of get to like see her reaction to the arena?
Yeah. Whenever there was like an afternoon game, those are the ones where you have it, on the calendar, like we're coming to this one 100%.
Yep.
And she loves it. Like my daughter's very social. Like we'll go to the grocery store, and if she doesn't say hello to every single person in that grocery store, she is angry. She is like, I didn't get to say hi to that person yet. Like she's waving at everyone. So
Aww.
at the game, she's got her hands up in the air, like if for a goal, right? But
Yeah.
nobody scored, but she thinks, she just watches hockey and she just puts her hands up in the air because she knows that's just,
That's awesome.
goal and hockey and all of that, right? And no, she loves it. And the great part is there's tons of kids on our team that are
Yeah.
around the same age as her. So it's
So many.
not only that, but it's special to see them interact and watch them grow. And yeah, it's just it's special. It's special to be in warm-ups and
Yeah.
be able to see her at the glass, and
Yeah.
So
just see her
cute.
smiling and completely confused, like, what is Daddy wearing right now?
Yeah.
Why is there this
the-
glass between us? Yeah.
Daddy's at
Why
the
is
fishbowl.
it so cold? What is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun that way.
That's so cool. I really, it's been on my mind since you guys moved here. I'm like, I'm so stressed for all these pregnant mommies who have to move their babies. But I'm glad. I knew that they would take over well.
Didn't you go to like a trampoline event and the team was there?
Yeah, it was Bugstad's little kid's birthday.
It was like exit interviews, and then I think the whole team
That
went
day.
to
Get air.
like
Yeah.
get air. And
Yeah,
Kelly's texting me, she's like, I think I'll
we were supposed to go to that, but I think it was a little bit like later on,
Yeah.
and she's still not at the age where she
No,
can kind of
trampoline
do
park's
that stuff
tricky.
yet.
Yeah.
So we're working our way towards that. We'll be there soon.
Next year.
She's heavy on the swing. We got like a full jungle gym in the backyard here, and she's really heavy on the swing. Like she wakes up in the morning and she's already immediately pointing out the window like, take me to the swing, Dad. I want to be in the swing.
But she's saying it
And
in Czech.
I swear you could leave her in there for 3 hours and she would have a smile on her face.
Aw.
Like, she just loves the thing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to ask you a little bit more about Utah. I know you talked about Utah a lot this season. In your ex interviews, you talked about being out and about and meeting fans. Just what has that been like to kind of become one of the fan favorites where, people are wearing, red beards to the games and you're seeing spicy tuna jerseys around the arena. And I'm sure people are noticing, you out and about and talking to you. What's that experience been like?
If people don't know hockey, they know that I like hockey and they'll just come up and be like, spicy tuna. Like, it's just even the non-fans' relation to the game is you. So I just think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, listen, it's been really cool. I think as a player, it's awesome to have that support from a fan base. And I really, I don't take it for granted. I appreciate it a lot, and I try to give back to the community as much as I can, and try to be, kind to the people I meet when I'm out and about. I do get recognized a lot. I think a lot of that has to do with just the hair, the beard. It's kind of been that way. Even when I played in the minors, I played in the hockey town. It's called Hershey, Pennsylvania. And anywhere I went in Hershey, it was the same way. I'd have people, I'd go out to dinner and all of a sudden I'd be trying to get the check at the end of the night. And they're like, oh no, the fans, they took care of it. And I'm like, not again. You guys, it's okay. Like, I can pay for my own dinner, but I appreciate it, And so it's, you just appreciate that as a player. When a fan base embraces you, especially the way Utah has embraced me, and I'm just going to continue to give everything I can to them, not only on the ice but also off the ice, and
we all have appreciated that, because the three of us, long before we even had the Utah Hockey Podcast and before you had a job with the team, we were fans sitting in the welcome party as you just exploded onto the scene. I feel like there were 10,000 people in that arena that day who wanted to cheer for something, and you came out so hard to be able to make us cheer for you. It was so meaningful. I mean, everybody I know in hockey was there, and that made an enormous impact. And the amount of charity work and events and things that you've done mean a lot to us. So thanks.
Liam, we've talked a little bit about...
I mean, well, that day for us as players is really special because, we had been through a lot.
Yeah.
And it was an emotional time because we knew we were moving to, for most of us hadn't been there before, and very foreign, and we weren't sure, like, what is this going to be like, right? And then we're not told we're going to be put on the mic at all. Like, we had no idea until I think it was like 5 minutes. Till it was like 5 minutes before we walked out. Not even.
I didn't know that.
To like announce ourselves in front of the crowd, and I remember we walked out, and it looks in the video like we were upset, but we were all like just in shock.
Yeah.
We were just like,
just
holy
deer in the
crap! Like,
headlights.
this place is like this. These people
there
are
were 10,000 in, but
crazy about hockey.
I
Like,
had friends outside still waiting to get in.
Yeah.
Like, that's how many people were there.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was very emotional, and I had goosebumps like the whole walk to my seat before we got on the stage. And then I just got on the stage, and I could just tell as the mic was working to me, I could tell there was a little bit of pressure coming from the guys. Like, hey, we kind of got to get these people going, because like
set the tone.
There's a lot of people in here fired up about this. Like, and I've always kind of been, I'm kind of just that guy. So I felt it was necessary, and the reaction was obviously fantastic from the fans and from everybody. So it was a lot of fun that day.
So were you just like thinking of what to say, and you came up with like, all right, like, I can't wait to get this place buzzing?
Completely winged it.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Completely winged it.
Great improv skills. That was pretty impressive.
Well, I had when I was in the American League, guys would always tell me like, "Oh, you should like when you're done playing hockey, you should get into the WWE. Like we feel like you would be.
I've seen some
really
pictures of
good
you, yeah,
in the
for
WWE.
Halloween. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then my rookie. Was it rookie initiation? Or it might have been. I think it was rookie initiation. They dressed me up as Sheamus.
Yep.
So
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is so
funny.
awesome and so fun to hear from you about that. We have heard that sometimes during the summers, you are playing with some players, doing summers with some other NHLers. Give us the breakdown of who you work with in the summers, because this list is like elite.
So, well, where I'm from,
Yeah.
we've got a couple decent hockey players.
They're just all right. They're
unfortunately,
okay.
in the summertime when I go home to Halifax, we've got a skate. It's all just pro guys, local guys. It's a great group, very high intensity. I would say probably out of any summer skate I've ever been to, probably the most intense summer skate I've ever been a part of. But it's fantastic. We've got obviously Sidney Crosby is from Cole Harbour, which is just across the bridge from Halifax. And then we've got Nathan McKinnon, also from there. Brad Marchand, Drake Batherson. He's actually from outside of Halifax, but he spends his summers and trains there. Another guy, Logan Shaw, played the NHL for a while. I feel like I'm missing guys.
Hold on, I have to pick up all these names that you're
guys,
dropping.
Anyways, like there's tons of guys. Matthew Highmore plays in Ottawa as well. I feel like I'm missing. Oh, both Morgan Barron, Winnipeg, Justin Barron, he's with Nashville now. So it's a great skate, and it's a lot of fun. It's great to get out with those guys in the summertime when I'm home, and like I said, pace is high, and it's a great skate to prepare for the season.
That is so cool.
What's it like to train with Crosby? Because obviously, like you know, I was gonna ask that question.
I know.
You knew I was gonna ask that question.
Cole just loves Sidney
Oh,
Crosby.
he knows.
He brings
Liam's
him up
aware.
every second of every day.
Yes.
More than
Pittsburgh.
your wife, maybe.
Yeah, he's a big Pittsburgh fan.
Because everybody
Sid
knows how he
for me
plays, but
Sid for me is the GOAT, right? That's my GOAT. He's, when it comes to professionalism, I mean, he's the prime example of just like the greatest pro of all time in hockey, in the way that he carries himself on and off the ice. If you look at his career, he's had how many seasons? You probably know this, Cole. How many seasons has he had over a point a game in the NHL?
well, I mean, he just set the
now?
record, right? Yeah, it's 20, I think.
I think it's 20, and I mean that's incredible, right? And I feel like he's getting older, but I feel like he just keeps getting better. Like he just finds ways to
Like
get
fine
better.
wine.
The longevity is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane, and he skates so well. He's so strong on the puck. I don't think I've ever seen somebody so strong on the puck when it comes to just cutbacks and just like trying to get the puck off him is really difficult. And
have you seen any of his?
He's a really nice guy. Like if you ask him questions, like he's more than willing to help you. And so, I've had the opportunity to ask him a couple questions, and he's always come back with some really good advice. And I find he's always open to helping, the young guys from home. So that too, there's the leadership aspect from him. It's really cool.
Have you seen any of his like superstitious type of personality come out when you guys have been training?
He's still wearing his little baby pads, right?
He wears, I think the same chest protector. I'm pretty sure he wears the same like jock strap, and it's hanging on by a thread. I heard a story that like he went on this big scoring run, and every night he was having a spoonful of ice cream, and eventually the ice cream ran out, but he kept pretending that it was there. And he kept eating it, and then his girlfriend like went to throw the tub out, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
I have to pretend.
I've heard he's just really superstitious.
You know, there's tons of guys like when you get into like I guess when you get into that flow state and you're playing well, you just kind of stick to what's working and you just keep going with it. I mean, I've never really seen him. I don't see, like he's not before practice. I don't see him over there with that same tub, like trying to take a scoop out of it before getting on the ice.
Well, his girlfriend threw it away.
I think
maybe
practice days it's probably a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he wears. I think he wears a lot of the same gear he's worn for a long time.
Crazy.
I find there's like a lot of guys that have played a long time. Like I played with Phil Kessel, and Phil Kessel was the same way. Like his gear was. Every piece of his gear was like falling apart. It was insane. I don't know how it stuck together. Like,
That feels
they
on
were
brand
just
for Phil
sewing
Kessel.
stuff together
I know.
constantly, like just keeping it together. It was insane when you looked at his gear. You're like, you couldn't believe that he wore that on the ice.
Yeah.
Like there was like barely any protection you felt, any Iron Man. So maybe that's the secret.
Liam, who do you feel like just on the notion of being superstitious? Because I know I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious, and I feel like we're in the sport that is the most superstitious sport. Who do you feel like is your most superstitious teammate on the Mammoth right now?
The Mammoth. Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, we have tons of guys that have their routines, and
Sure.
I find we have probably multiple guys, like when we come out and we're in the hallway, guys say the same things. You create, it's cool. Like in warm-ups, you create little things with guys. Like at the end of warm-ups, like me and Kels, we have a couple passes and shots that we just do every warm-up. It's just little details, or before the game we play sewer ball, and the guy who gets out first in the last game has to put 500 up on the board, on the fun board, like just like
Yeah.
silly things, right? And so it's hard to say like who is the most superstitious, because I feel like we all are,
Yeah.
because we all take part in all this stuff.
Yeah, little pieces of everybody.
Yeah.
I would say the guy who I think prepares really well, and I would say prepare because I wouldn't say he has anything. Nothing that he does is really weird, but I would say Barrett Hayton, like he knows how to get himself like dialed in for the game and prepare his body, and he does. I just see him do, even between periods, he does the same things consistently all the time.
Awesome.
And he's just a really good example of a professional. And so I'll have to go with him, just because I think the superstition part, like we all take part in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody. There
get in
might
it.
be some guys like that stay away from it a little bit, but for the most part, we're all like kind of doing things together and interacting in the same way before we get out there.
And
That's
when you're
awesome.
playing 82 games, you just
Yeah.
start to piece all of that together. It's a lot of games.
Sometimes it gets long, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, for me too, like I wasn't in the lineup every game, so it was like I'd be out of the lineup, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Obi's back in the lineup, so we got to do it. And it's just like,
Yeah.
it's interesting, and like like before we go out at the end, I give Nux to Colsey, Schmaltzy, and Kels, and we would say the same thing every time before we go out. And it's just it's funny, when you really think about it, you're like, wow, I can't believe we do that. But
Yeah.
If it works.
it just gets you dialed in, it gets you ready to go.
Yeah, if it works,
Gives
don't
you
change it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, just wrapping up here, Kelly, I know there's a question that you're dying to ask.
I'm
Yeah.
dying to ask, because especially woman that I know who has met you, just goes, the skin on this man, the hair on this man, and everybody knows this hair, especially because you go out with no bucks for warm-ups a lot, with no helmet, hair flowing in the breeze. What is the hair and skincare routine, Mr. O'Brien?
There is no skincare
That's not what we
routine.
wanted to hear. That's not what we
We
wanted.
need a
There's
secret
no
natural.
skincare
All
routine
natural.
at all. I actually had a skincare routine like 3 years ago, and it just like I felt like it didn't help.
Yeah.
I felt like it wasn't working. So my wife tried getting me onto one, and then I was like, no, like I don't. This is just not for me. And hair wise, I mean, I wash my hair. Like guys are like, I said this on a podcast one time, and guys are like, I can't believe that you only wash your hair like once every 10 days.
That's the
And
secret.
I'm like, no, guys, like I you shouldn't wash your hair like every day. It's not good to wash your hair every day. So I wash my hair. I use my wife's stuff. She's got really good stuff. So I use
feel ya.
hers. So
Yeah.
I don't even know
soap.
what it is.
Yeah.
It's like
that's a purple
like
bottle
a-
that's in here. That sounds great.
a brand that she uses. Her hair looks great. So I'm like, if it's good enough for her hair, it's probably good enough for mine.
There you go.
That'll be your first commercial.
L'Oreal with it waving, with your beautiful hair waving in the background.
Yeah, listen, if L'Oreal wants to do a commercial, I'm all in. I'm all in.
A nice
You
hockey
heard it
stop.
here first.
Nice hockey stop. You know, he's coming around the corner of the net. It's just like flowing really pretty. I could see it.
I'm not a big football guy, but that one football
Troy
guy,
Polamalu.
what's his
Yep.
name?
Troy
Trent.
Polamalu.
Yep.
Head and
Steelers.
shoulders.
Yeah, like he killed it. He
Yeah.
killed it with those hair commercials.
You
Yeah.
need to start dropping. You need to figure out what the wife has so you can start dropping the
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah, I probably should.
Hockey also
I
has
probably
way
should.
better hair than football, so there's
really
no
does.
reason why there shouldn't.
Especially
we
when
need
you can-
hockey player representation in hair commercials.
When you go out with your hair flowing for warm-ups, it's iconic.
I know.
It's so iconic.
Football players aren't moving that fast to make that flow move like that. Like, come on.
No, and so smooth.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling in the world than when you go out, no helmet on the ice. Me and Lawson we were talking about this the other day when we were in Paris. There's legit no better feeling than skating around the ice and warm-ups.
Because it was just
listening
you
to
two
your
a
favorite-
lot of the
listening to
time.
your favorite music.
Yep.
Just, you feel the cold air on your face. It wakes you right up. It gets you ready to go. Sometimes I don't understand why more guys don't
Yep.
do it. Obviously, there's a little bit of a danger aspect in terms of like getting a puck to the face, but
No stranger to that.
I just think like if you're careful, you're gonna be fine unless you get unlucky. So it's great. It's great.
That's so awesome. Well, we just can't thank you enough. I feel like
Yeah.
we didn't get to a lot of hockey.
And that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about your
Do it
hair a
next
lot.
I got more time.
You got
if guys wanna
time?
keep chatting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I got
Let's
some
do
time.
it.
Liam, since you moved here and since I saw your social media handle and then watched your introduction to the team, that was pretty passionate. I just have to know, where does your nickname come from?
Yeah, so originally Tuna. So Tuna's been my nickname for a long time. I would say it's started. I think it was my first year professionally. Nate Schmidt. He's actually with the Panthers.
Yeah.
He came up with it when we were in the minors, and he got it from either the movie. I'm pretty sure it was The Office. To be honest, I think it's where it came from.
That's what
But
I was
there's two
thinking.
things.
That's what I was thinking. That's why I wanted to ask.
I think he just like came in and like he just came flying in one day, and he's a really energetic guy, great locker room guy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and he just like, oh, the big tuna, and it just immediately he started calling me that, and the boys for some reason it just like everybody's like that's perfect, and from that day on, coaches, staff, all my teammates call me Tuna, Big Tuna.
That's hilarious.
So that's where that started.
Yeah.
So they're like, you got to change your handle to Big Tuna, because then the fans in Hershey started wearing Big Tuna, getting their sweaters all Big Tuna for my sweaters,
Yeah.
and like, you got to change your handle. I was like, all right, I'll change my handle. So I changed my handle, and then I just kind of took off the Tuna thing, and then in Arizona, I'm like pretty feisty when it comes to the way I play and stuff.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Schmaltzy's brother's always he's big on Twitter and
Yup.
social media, and he's a really funny guy, right? And he started calling me spicy tuna. He loved it. He loved spicy tuna, and he was like pumping it, putting it out there consistently. And then the guys in Arizona grabbed onto that, and then they started calling me, like, some guys only call me spicy. They don't even call me tuna. They just call me spicy.
That's awesome.
Which I think is also a cool one. So yeah, no, that's just kind of the evolution of it. In junior, it was always OB. I still have people call me OB. Guys in junior, and I had another nickname. It was just a dumb one. They called me the Doiler. The Doiler. I don't know why. They just call me Doiler.
That's funny.
It's like an Irish name, right?
Yeah.
So they called me the Doiler. Yeah, no, I've had tons of nicknames, but I think I like this one the best.
Yeah, it makes my heart happy that my suspicions that it was from The Office are confirmed. Are you a fan of The Office yourself?
I've watched The Office. I think it's awesome. I haven't watched it start to finish, but I've watched. I would say I've watched at least half of it, and yeah, it's a great show. Like, it's
fantastic.
It's awesome.
All right, how about
I played the minors in Hershey, so we were always playing in
Scranton.
Oh yeah,
Wilkes-Barre, Scranton.
Yeah.
So it was just, I like put two and two together, and I'm like, okay, now I really like this show.
Steve
So
Carell's a hockey player too, so
Yep, there you go.
there's all sorts of ties to hockey. Yeah.
we often reference Jenna Fisher on this podcast because we only wanted the Blues to be successful because of Jenna Fisher, mostly.
That's just Kelly, actually.
Just a me thing. All right, how about looking forward to the draft coming up? As somebody who went undrafted, do you have any advice for these kids kind of looking forward to what they can anticipate? It must be so scary going into a draft.
I was passed up 3 times, so I don't really know what that whole environment's like. I was never at the draft. I was, when I was 17, I was told I was going to get drafted, and then I get drafted. It was probably the worst day of my life, to be honest. But yeah.
Way to bring it up,
You're
Kelly.
the success
Jeez,
story.
Kelly.
You're in the NHL. You're the
No,
success
it's fine.
story.
I don't mind talking about it. I think it's great. I think, there's so many guys that go undrafted and they end up playing the NHL. So I guess my message would probably be to the guys that aren't getting drafted. It's just, to be honest, the draft's important, and I think it's great to get drafted, but there's so much work in between the draft and then becoming an NHL hockey player. It's a little bit different, right? I think people get a little confused sometimes. They're like, oh, well, we drafted this guy, like he's gonna play next year, kind of like in
We
the
talked
NFL
about that.
or NBA, right?
Yeah.
And in hockey, that's just not how it works. There's a development process. A lot of these kids are only 18 years old. Some are ready to play, but not many guys are ready to play right away. So it takes time and patience and work. And so my message is just to the guys that, if you don't get drafted, yeah, it sucks. I know, but you can still make the NHL. There's still ways, there's still pathways. If you stick to it and
Find your role.
you put the work in, somebody's going to find you, somebody's going to give you an opportunity, and you just need to take advantage of it.
Awesome. We just cannot thank you enough for being with us. We're so grateful. We're so grateful to have you be a part of this community. I know me raising kids here, them raising kids here, we all feel the same, that we're just stoked to have somebody that's compassionate and also beat the crap out of absolutely everyone. We really like that part too.
Yeah.
So we're just super grateful to get to
My
talk to you.
4-year-old and 2-year-old especially really like that part. So.
We call my son Tuna when he's feeling feisty.
Feeling feisty. That's awesome.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We're so excited to get to talk to you in the future as well. Just have a great day. We love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me on, and looking forward to jumping on sometime soon again.
Thank you so much. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Liam.
Bye, guys.
Bye, friend.
Thank you so much to Liam O'Brien. Everyone's maybe most people's favorite player here in Utah. I feel like he's captured the hearts of Utahns really, really well just over a year. And I've even heard stories of him I've heard stories of him interacting with fans, and we've watched it all year. So an absolute honor to have him on the podcast. Kelly, what was your favorite part of that segment there?
I mean, aside from the fact that we know the hair and skincare routine.
Yeah, apparently it's blood, sweat, and tears. That's what keeps his skin glowing.
Apparently there's no secret sauce. He just is how cool he is. But hearing just how much of a family man this guy is, we knew it all along, but to hear it from him, I think the most shocking thing that we learned in this episode is that they didn't know they were going to speak at that welcome party. The three of us were there just to know that they were put on the spot. And I do think when you review that video, they look a little bit, as Liam put it, a little bit sad, a little bit distraught as they walk out at that welcome party. Now reflecting that they were actually just so shocked. They were in a building with 10,000 people with 5,000 more outside.
Yeah, I don't think that was the expectation from the players at all. And I think you could see it. And even I remember like seeing and posting videos of that welcome party. And even the kids like welcoming them at the airport.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of fans being like, they don't look super excited. No, they're probably just floored and shocked that not only did Utah show up immediately, like within days of knowing that they were there, and some people within hours of knowing that they were going to come. I think it was just an emotional experience for them, and it was cool to hear it from Liam.
I mean, this was probably the most drastic uprooting of a professional sports franchise in recent years.
I can't think
probably
of
something
one.
happened in the 30s that was crazy. That in recent sports history, this is completely unprecedented.
Yeah,
especially to jump in and see the fans, right? Like moving a team is one thing, but to jump in 3-ish days later and have a welcome party like that.
Like the Raiders moved from Oakland to Las Vegas, but like people knew that was
there were whisperings
happening
for so long.
years.
Yeah, like there was that was a big buildup, and I think people accepted it. And like it's not like they moved overly far away, and like I think those fans were understood why that was happening.
Yeah,
and Vegas just made a lot of sense. With the Coyotes, it just like all of a sudden it happened, and to be uprooted in that way in a place that they had been for so long. And a lot of the players on the team had been with the organization for quite a while. I think, how can you not be emotionally drained? Even if you were excited about it.
Yeah.
They were going to a place that most of these guys had never been to before.
Yeah, it's kind of scary.
They had not been to Utah. They didn't know anything about Utah. They didn't know how the ownership was going to be. They didn't know how the fans were going to be. And suddenly to just like get dropped in Salt Lake City and to have that kind of response, I think has made such a difference for the organization.
I think every single player has pointed to it as a big turning point, and they chose to play harder because they were in front of us, right? Like you reflect on what the Coyotes were when they were in Arizona versus what they are in Utah, and they haven't changed much as far as a roster goes. Right. Of course, Sergachev or whatever made a big difference, but when you're looking at each individual player outplaying themselves from the year before, the reason is different. The reason is Utah. The reason is they walked into an arena with 10,000 people and decided, I'm going to play really hard for these guys.
Yeah, and maybe it's a conversation for another time, but I'm curious how much the sudden nature of the move played into how well the fans accepted the team. Because when there is all this buildup, I feel like once it happens, because you were talking about the Raiders moving from Oakland to Vegas. It took years. That stadium was being built for years, and reasonably so. If you've ever been in that stadium, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Of course, it's going to take years, but I feel like there was maybe less hype from the fans because it was just expected. It was like, all right, when is this going to happen already?
Yeah.
But for Utah hockey fans, it was so sudden that it was just like, oh my gosh. There's no buildup. This is just all of a sudden my entire identity. Like I'm a Utah Hockey Club fan, and it was. I feel like there was so much more grace given to the team and given to the organization for this first year, and maybe the fans, the sudden nature of the move played into that well
even like
for the fans and for the
what
organization.
I think I've reflected on so much from that welcome party too is how many hockey jerseys were there.
Yeah.
From just hundreds and hundreds of different places. First off, like people wore their old teams, but then to come in with their home jerseys or their high school jerseys or whatever, like showing like this is a hockey town. Set the tone.
Yeah, or
real
the
quick.
Black Bauer hockey jersey that I got at Played Against
Sure.
Sports and put tape on
Iconic.
that said Utah.
The first
HC.
Utah hockey. That's how we
There
know.
was a couple other people who had similar ones we would make eye contact at that first party, and we were like, "You
up?"
get it." All the
And
time.
now reflecting on, I mean, they're going to start wearing Mammoth gear.
Yeah.
How cool is that? We have a name, we have an identity. We're ready to go.
Yeah, it just kind of like they woke up this like sleeping giant of a hockey town that I don't think really people knew existed.
No.
Yeah.
But there just were so many people, not just pre-existing fans that embraced the team, but hockey's just such an incredible product.
Yeah.
With incredible, players and the organization, the ownership. It just was this perfect marriage from every different angle.
Yeah.
And like what Liam was saying, it just has made such a difference. And obviously, like, it was emotional to leave Arizona, and I'm sure there was some sadness associated with that, but I think it was also
absolutely.
emotional to come to a place that was just so welcoming.
Yeah.
And not just welcoming in the sense of like, well, we're going to show up for the first 5 games because it's exciting, and then we're not. No, it
To
was like
sell out as many games as
every
we did.
game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
to literally make them a part of the DNA of Utah
Yes. Instantly. Yeah.
was just really fun to watch, and it's just going to continue to get better.
All right. Personal question. How do you feel talking to an NHL player about your favorite NHL player, Sidney Crosby?
It's really weird.
Cold
especially-
blushing.
Yeah, for the listeners who don't know Cole as well as we do, Cole, I just feel like you could play a game that you just every time you bring up Cole, right, you do something. Because Cole brings up Sidney Crosby in conversation every day.
Yeah.
At least every day, probably more than once.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to get to ask Liam, who skates with him every summer? Like that list that he's naming off these players is so elite.
Yeah.
To just get to hang out and
Some's
skate.
in the water up there.
Marshan and McKinnon and Sid, and yeah, I mean there was
That's
a couple
already
more.
such an elite list.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really weird.
The smirk.
There's definitely times where like I'm like, how is this my life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. It's fun to be able to ask Liam, tell me more about Sid, and then like talking about, those superstitious stories that I'd heard when I was in Pittsburgh and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, it's amazing. And I really don't mean to I don't want to brag. I don't, but I just feel blessed to be able to do that.
Aw, we're living the dream. We say it all the time.
Living the dream.
We're living the dream. All right. Well,
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening this week on the Utah Hockey Podcast. Expect a little bit more of that action in the very near future. And you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and in video format on YouTube, on the KSL Sports YouTube page. So please catch us there. Leave reviews, leave comments, communicate with us. We want to talk to you. If you have questions or things that you'd like to be discussed on the podcast, shoot any of us a DM and we'll make sure that we talk about it at least within a couple weeks. So thank you so much, and we're excited to be here.
love ya.